Governments deny it. Militaries deny it. Even the mainstream media denies it. But they are here, and they've been here for a very long time. The Mutual UFO Network has been on the front lines uncovering the truth since 1969, and now we're sharing that truth with you. Welcome to MUFON What's Up with your hosts, Katie Page, Christopher DePerno, and Tara Diulis, exclusively on the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. Wondering what's up? So are we.
What's up? It's Tuesday night, and you're listening to MUFON What's Up Radio, the show that says discovery starts with curiosity, and curiosity starts with MUFON, brought to you by KGRADB.com. I hope you go to their website and check out all their great content there. As always, we are endorsed by MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, always asking that all-important question, are we alone in the universe? I am your host, Katie Page, the Colorado State Director for MUFON, and also the Mars Team Administrator. Tonight, we will be talking to somebody I got to meet and hang out with and have dinner with at the Ozark Conference a couple weekends ago, Kristi Pederson, and I'm so excited to talk with her more and to learn more about her. She's written 4 wonderful books, and we'll get into all of that here after news and case of the week and all that good stuff. Again, I wanted to remind you guys of a few conferences that are coming up. We have that Pikes Peak Conference in May 19th through the 21st. You can learn more about that at pikespeakparanormal.com. It's in a fun little gambling town in Cripple Creek, Colorado, near Pikes Peak, and that's going to be a fun event that's going to cover UFOs, Bigfoot, paranormal. So it's kind of everything combined, and that's what makes this conference so cool. Also, Contact in the Desert, June 2nd through the 4th. You can learn more about that at contactinthedesert.com. And of course, you want to plan your trip for that MUFON Symposium, August 24th through the 27th. You can learn more about that at mufonsymposium.com. And on that Thursday, we have that FI training, which will be on the 24th. And there's so much packed in that whole day, and it's really worth the time to take that investigator training as well. Chris DePerno and I will be teaching there, so we hope to see you out for that. Let's go ahead and bring in the co-hosts. We have Tara Diulis. You can also see Tara on Sky Tour Live with Mark D'Antonio right here on KGRA. How you doing, Tara?
Hi, Katie. What's up?
What's up? A lot this last week, right? I mean, again, we didn't. That's what's disappointing. I think about these hearings that come out. It's like just not a lot of mind-blowing information, although the video is interesting, and we could talk about that in a little bit. Let's go ahead and bring on in Chris DePerno. He's the state director for New York and is also on the ERT, and Jerry and Jenna. Maybe they're back from vacation. They're back from vacation.
They're back from vacation. Now, what am I thinking? I want our guests to give me the lottery numbers. Where are the lottery numbers? I want to be a millionaire. All right. Anyways, we got a psychic coming on. Now, this is really cool because I have in police worked with psychics, and I thought they were all heebie-jeebie. Okay, I said, yeah, okay, whatever. But they proved me wrong. Cool. And some of them got the power, and some of them are full of baloney, but some of them can solve cases, and I was actually stunned by it. So, though I'm making a little fun about the lottery, I wish you would give me the lottery numbers, but
me too.
It's going to be very interesting to actually talk to psychics because they're really cool. I've had readings ever since that time, and all of them have come true. So I got to tell you, and I'll probably ask her for a reading during the show. What do you see? What do you see? Anyways, yeah, my homeboy and homegirl are back. Jerry and Jenna, they were on vacation last week, but they came back. They said they missed me, and I can't wait to get the bill because they went on some kind of cruise. So anyways.
They look very rested. They look wide-eyed and rested.
They do. Like they've had a good
She's got a hangover. Where is she? Over here. She's got a hangover. Can't you see her slumping down there? I'm waiting for her to barf on the back of my neck, but I don't know that.
Oh, my gosh.
What do you mean, oh, my gosh? If you had a hangover, anyways, it's going to be a great show tonight, folks. We're going to have a lot of fun. I got something that's really going to tell you what the government thinks of aliens. So that's stuff. Oh, remember last week we talked about, oh my God, we're going to have disclosure. Everybody's going to be talking about it. It was a nothing burger without the burger.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I will tell you, I got a little bit of that tape and I was like,
Oh, that's cool.
Why am I even watching this?
Right. I know it's always so disappointing, but maybe
Not
someday.
surprising.
So, Tara, what do you have to kick us off today?
Well, let's see. Today's meme shows some aliens on a ship looking at a screen picture of a green alien. Anyway, these aliens, the two aliens are saying, amazing. They got every detail exactly wrong. And of course, the aliens are big and fat with short legs and big nose and big teeth and huge ears. And, nothing like the little green things we see every day, right? Don't we see them every day?
A little antennae.
I know.
They look like a couple of cops I used to work with.
Is that right? Those alien donuts, right?
Well, it's that pasta and pizza,
You got to get those carbs, chasing all those aliens and stuff. So,
you're not allowed to chase anymore, but okay. That's the wrong show.
No, okay, won't go there. Oh my gosh. Well, what I found today at Walmart of all places are the 3 wise aliens. So here it's what: speak no evil, hear no evil, see no evil. So these are outer space creatures and they're collectible figurines, and also they glow in the dark.
Oh, that'd be freaky at night, glowing in the dark.
They don't have any butt cracks.
I didn't look that closely, but they're approximately 5 inches tall and resin. You're good. You quit, man. And they're sold as a set at Walmart.com just for less than $40. So they're just kind of fun to hang around. And you can find those at Walmart. Isn't that kind of cool?
Yeah.
Also, what I found is a supersized Mothman, which is 1/2 pound of vanilla flavored chocolate. And where did I find this? Isn't that cool? It's glowing red eyes at paranormalpops.com, where you can find all sorts of fun paranormal treats. Yeah. And I know, last but not least, remember to fuel up. And it's the low carb and low sugar hydration system that's designed to support motivation, concentration, and rejuvenation. And I can use all 3, but it has the best immune enhancing delivery system available. So you just mix it with water and drink, and be sure to fuel up, everyone. Visit fuelup.gg/MUFON for special offers. And use Katie to shop. Cool.
Katie to shop.
Yes. Yay. Let's go shopping with Katie. Chris, what news do you have for us today?
Oh, I got some stories. Anyways, first of all, I want to talk about Arrow and what a great job they've been doing. They had that in front of Senator Gillibrand, the hearing, which we were all anticipating to finally find out what disclosure was about. But I think something happened along the way to the building. Anyways, Amanda, run that Arrow tape.
First, I want to thank Congress for its extensive and continued partnership as the department works to better understand and respond to UAP in an effort to minimize technical and intelligence surprise. Unidentified objects in any domain pose potential risks to safety and security, particularly from military personnel and capabilities. Congress and DoD agree that UAP cannot remain unexamined or unaddressed. We are grateful for sustained congressional engagement on this issue, which paved the way for the DoD's establishment of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office in July of last year. Though Arrow is still a young office, the spotlight on UAP in recent months underscores the importance of its work and the need for UAP to be taken seriously as a matter of national security. All leadership that I've had the pleasure of working with, whether DoD, IC, DOE, civil, scientific, or industrial, view Congress as a critical partner in this endeavor and see resolve those anomalous cases. In doing so, Arrow is approaching these cases with the highest level of objectivity and analytic rigor. This includes physically testing and employing modeling and simulation to validate our analyses and underlying theories, then peer reviewing those results within the U.S. government, industry partners, and appropriately cleared academic institutions before reaching any conclusions. I should also state clearly for the record that in our research, AARO has found no credible evidence thus far of extraterrestrial activity, off-world technology, or objects that defy the known laws of physics. In the event sufficient scientific data were ever obtained that a UAP encountered can only be explained by extraterrestrial origin, we are committed to working with our interagency partners at NASA to appropriately inform U.S. government's leadership of its findings. For those few cases that have leaked to the public previously and subsequently commented on by the U.S. government, I encourage those who hold alternative theories or views to submit your research to credible peer-reviewed scientific journals.
So, I don't know why we're even doing the show, because there's no such thing as aliens.
No.
No.
I mean,
And put it through a peer review. Make sure you
So-
do it.
Travis Taylor's wrong. Gary Nolan's wrong. All these other scientists are wrong. Everybody's wrong. But this guy says there's no. Where has he been? We get all kinds of cases. We got scientists saying that they can't explain it. Avi Loeb, Travis Taylor. You got Gary Nolan. You got all this stuff. You got airline pilots. You got military pilots. This is, I got to tell you something. That was the biggest nothing burger I've ever seen. All right, let's get on with the news. Enough of me ranting and raving. All right. Hey, this is a good one. Now, remember, folks, I had told you before that the guy missed his wedding because he claimed he was abducted at his bachelor's party. Okay? Well, I guess it's spreading. People are calling off from work, and they've been using the excuse that they've been kidnapped by aliens. HR bosses have shared that over the past year, they have seen a huge spike in the number of their employees claiming to need time off because they had been abducted. People are giving out-of-the-world excuses for not turning up to work, with many saying they have been kidnapped by aliens. I can't come to work today, boss, because I've just been abducted. Stunned bosses have... What?
I said, that's a creepy picture.
It's my cousin.
Stop,
the one on the left.
Girl's eyes more creepy.
I'm not even afraid of the alien in that photograph.
Stunned bosses have told my employees that they have been taken by little green men and need time off to recover. HR bosses say they saw a huge spike in the number of people claiming they have been abducted over the last year. Must be a flood. Some even claim they have been experimented on, while others said they have been taken to another planet or the local bar. Other employees said they could not come into work because they were being terrified by ghosts at home, but some more brazen staff told bosses that they had not come in because they felt like going ghoul hunting. I don't know why anybody wants to go ghoul hunting, but hey, go for it. Experts in HR who have a sickness tracking tool for managers said the software showed a large spike in the number of people off work due to aliens and ghosts. Believe it or not, yeah, I believe it. Alien abduction and ghost hunting were real excuses for absence that employers were given in 2022. I wish I had known this. Oh my God, how many days I could have taken off. Surely the bosses were employees called in sick due to having been abducted by aliens. Now, Argentinian football player Guillermo Moreno claimed that he missed training because he was abducted by aliens. Reveals his former teammate Gustavo Lorzarenti. What a name. Moreno enjoyed a trophy-laden career in South America and enjoyed a spell of Universidad de Chile under Giorgio Sampaoli between 2010 and 2013. And it was at this point, towards the tail end of his career, that he made the bizarre claim to his teammates. Lorenzo told Lado B. Galmero says that he had arrived late at one of the training because he was abducted by aliens. So, you know what? I can't find any video of anybody claiming they were abducted by aliens. Maybe they don't want to go on the record, but I got this great video to show. Amanda, roll that first one.
I was escorted into another room, and it was filled with babies. And I remember, like, whose babies are these? And he points to me. These are yours. I could not give you a number, but they were stacked from the floor to the ceiling. And they were all in the room. Could have been a couple of hundred babies there, for all I know. There were just so many.
Dave Huggins has an earthly, human son too. Michael has grown up surrounded by his father's alien stories.
When we're kids, we think a lot differently about aliens visiting Earth, and we would talk about it a lot, and all my friends really just loved it. Well, if it happened, I think it's pretty cool. I mean, if aliens are just coming down out of nowhere and saying, hey, I want to have sex with you, I mean, that's a pretty big compliment to my dad.
But there is still one question he has never had a convincing explanation for.
Why do you think that, of all the people on the planet, you were chosen to father all these children?
Michael, I have no idea, except maybe something is happening with their race. I know one thing, you've got a lot of half-brothers and half-sisters someplace. No idea where they are, but you do have them.
I don't even know where to start with this one. But I will tell you, the aliens are trying to serve him with paternity suit papers. So I have no idea what's going to happen with that. They're going to go. And I will tell you one thing. If they pick that guy to save their race, they're done.
What a compliment to that guy.
All I can tell you, hey, listen, I just report the news. All I can tell you. All right, let's get on with our other story. God, I can tell you one thing. The aliens must have been drunk. Hey, Harry, come on, let's go down and get this guy and see what we can do. Come on.
You hear this, though. I mean, looking at, like, Dr. Leo's, you've heard this for decades and decades. A different species coming down, creating hybrid babies, and you hear they're in incubators and, I mean, missing fetuses. So, I mean,
I'm not
it seems they take males, females. So I'm just wondering what they want from us.
I'm not disputing that. That is a real phenomenon that I believe in.
Right.
But fathering babies from the floor up on four sides of the wall, this guy's got to be classified as a stud. That's all I can tell you. Is that, yeah, baby, I can tell you.
Okay, let's move on.
Let's go move on. Radical NASA propulsion concept could reach interstellar space in under 5 years. Now, this is a good story. A newly proposed propulsion system could theoretically beam a heavy spacecraft to outside the confines of our solar system in less than 5 years, a feat that took the historic Voyager 1 probe 35 years to achieve. The concept, known as pellet beam propulsion, was awarded an early-stage NASA grant for further development earlier this year. To be clear, the concept currently doesn't exist much beyond calculations on paper, so we can't get too excited just yet. Still, it's attracted attention not only because of its potential to get us into interstellar space within a human lifetime, something that traditional chemical-fueled rockets can't, but also because it claims it can do so with much larger crafts. This proposal examines a new propulsion architecture for fast transit of heavy, 1 ton or more, payloads across the solar system. The pellet beam concept was partly inspired by the Breakthrough Starshot initiative, which is working on a light sail propulsion system. With the help of millions of lasers, a tiny probe would theoretically be able to sail to neighboring systems in just 20 years. To work, the conceptual propulsion system requires 2 spacecraft, one that sets off for interstellar space and one that goes into orbit around the Earth. The spacecraft orbiting Earth would shoot a beam of tiny microscopic particles at the interstellar spacecraft. The research team has taken the pellet approach rather than be quiet. Hey, God. Oh, that's the complaint department. The research team has taken the pellet approach rather than simply using lasers like other projects because the pellets can be propelled by relatively low-powered lasers in their current projections. Only a 10 megawatt laser beam could be used. Unlike a laser beam, pellets do not diverge as quickly, allowing us to accelerate a heavier spacecraft. Amanda, roll that great tape.
The idea behind photon pellet propulsion is instead of using photons to push the spacecraft, you instead use the photons, or rather a very powerful laser beam, but only about 10 megawatts worth of power. We're not talking about colossal laser beams here, but instead a laser that we could theoretically build in the foreseeable future, and then use that laser beam to push not the spacecraft, but instead tiny particles from a collection of fuel in orbit that you would target, and those particles would in turn be accelerated towards the sail at a speed of about 120 kilometers per second or greater. And once they collide with the sail is pushed forward at a much higher velocity simply because the particles colliding with it are much heavier than a photon. Therefore, you get a lot more acceleration out of a lot less laser power. Now, you're not talking enormous relativistic velocities here, but you are talking speeds 9 times faster than Voyager at the very least, which allows you to achieve speeds of 30 astronomical units per year in a short amount of time. So instead of the painfully slow acceleration rates that we saw with the Planetary Society's light sails, we instead would have a blisteringly fast acceleration going so quickly that you could reach Mars, at least in theory, in the space of about 10 days. Now, of course, you would also need a laser array at the receiving end in order to decelerate, so there are some complications involved with this, at least if you're talking about Earth to Mars. But to answer one of the questions or criticisms that I've gotten from viewers in the past as to just how much this acceleration rate would splatter the passengers in the process of going to Mars this quickly, well, just to be clear, at a 1G acceleration rate, all the way to Mars, you would actually get there in 3 days. And that's with a constant 1G acceleration. We're not even talking about that. We're talking about 10 days to Mars. So as long as you had constant and gradual acceleration the whole way, you would be looking at a fraction of 1G. Not enough to splatter your passengers. You don't have to worry about that factor. However, you would need a laser array to decelerate at your destination, unless you're talking about the solar gravitational lens. Something that far out could utilize the sun's gravity and other factors in order to decelerate once you arrived at your destination. Now let's look at this in greater detail. The laser is fired either from Earth or from orbit, passing through plasma, or just a collection of matter that would be ionized by the high-energy laser and driven at a very high velocity towards the spacecraft. Now, in the future, these tiny particles, using nanotechnology, could, in theory, be designed to steer themselves towards the destination. But the advantage is that these ionized particles would not diverge as much from their course as a laser does. Lasers diffract and diffuse over distance, and so you need a more powerful laser the further the spacecraft is from the firing point.
So,
Wow.
that is very interesting, because if that's our future, we can probably get to Mars within 10 days and stuff. Katie, what do you think?
I'm just really happy there's people a heck of a lot smarter than me working on this stuff, because I'm kind of like, that's a lot to process. I have a lot of thoughts and questions, but you know, when they're saying like, how do you control that and how do you come to a gradual stop and like the whole, it's very interesting. I mean, I don't know, it's way over my head, but I am glad somebody's out there working on it, which is kind of exciting. Who knows what the future holds? Like, you know, 10, 20 years from now, we could be going back and forth to Mars, and you know,
probably within 20 years, I bet you we'll have colonized Mars. I really do. There's some very smart people working on it. Tara, what do you think?
Oh, I think it's exciting as well. And I just think you can go to Mars maybe in 3 days or so. That's hope for all of us that are alive on this planet right now, all of us. So it's exciting. I hope they do it.
Good. Well, that's the news for the week.
Systems. So.
Awesome. All right.
Very
I
good.
have an interesting case of the week. And again, this is one of those cases that got more and more interesting. The more I slowed it down, the more I looked at it, the more. So I'm going to read you a little bit about the case. It's case number 129976. Again, it's a category 1 case, but really, really, really fascinating case. So the summary of the case is shortly after 8 p.m. on March 23rd, 2023, in Meridianville, Alabama, this woman reported seeing a bright object in the sky near her home. As she was backing out of the driveway, she noticed that the radio in her truck was making an unusual humming sound and that the radio station seemed to get lost in the humming. She said that she turned off her radio and immediately noticed that her indicator lights were blinking from one side to the other as she was turning them on and off. Note that during the flashing, the right indicator lights stopped working altogether and had to be replaced. It was while the lights were flashing that she noticed the object. She took out her cell phone and began a video recording. She reported that the object was hovering over an elementary school, then proceeded to move toward the first house on the left. She said it hovered for approximately 30 seconds, then flipped like a quarter to its opposite side, then it disappeared. She described the object as silver or metallic in color that would change to different colored shades of gray and looked as though there might be might be shiny. She said that there was at the very bottom, there was a pulsating light and was the brightest light that she had ever seen, even brighter than the sun. So anyway, so the investigator discovered that there was another sighting similar to this one in 1986, also in Alabama. And then the disposition on this case said, after carefully reviewing the witnesses' responses to my questionnaire and looking at the videos and enlarging them, that the only conclusion that FI could come up with was an unknown UAV. So I'm going to have Amanda play the first video at full speed, and then we're going to slow it down a little bit. So Amanda?
I don't know what the hell this is in the sky, but it's moving and the light is pulsating. I swear to God, I'm not lying. I'm telling the truth. Oh my God, I don't know what that is. That's not the moon. I swear to God, that's not the moon. The hell is that?
And it just disappears. Okay, so Amanda, run video 2.
And it's gone.
Thank you. Yeah, and so I took some screenshots, and at first I thought it was like maybe a piece of paper or a piece of trash. Like, that's the first screenshot. And look at that. It almost looks like a bag or something that flipped on its side. But then it starts to just completely fade away, and then poof, it just, that's it right there, and then gone. And look at that ring around that one. Yeah. I mean, frame by frame by frame, I went through this, and for the life of me, I don't know.
Amanda, put up the second picture, would you? That looks like what the Navy pilots got from their gun camera. Remember?
Right.
Thank you, Amanda.
Yeah,
remember the top part, kind of oval shape, goes into almost like a rounded diamond. That's the same thing that the Navy pilots took from their gun camera. But, I mean, as Eric says, it almost looks like a light reflection from the bottom of a chrome spear. I don't know. Yeah. I'm really confused. I'd like to see that video analyzed.
Yeah, it's a really, really interesting case. And the way it just sort of because if it was a piece of like floating debris or garbage, it wouldn't just change like that and disintegrate in front of your very eyes. And then boom, it's gone just like that. So that's case of the week this week. Did we get anything from Bob this week?
We did. He's got a great, he
Okay.
didn't have any pictures or anything, but wait until you hear this story. It'll knock your socks off. Amanda, please.
Hi, everybody. This is Bob Spearing, MUFON's Director of International Investigations. I'd like to thank Chris for having me on to do a little segment on two cases of interest that I found. I don't have any visuals today, but these two cases are so strange and seem to be connected in an odd way that I wanted to put them out there. And if anybody has any comments on these cases, I'd love to hear about it at doii@mufon.com. The first one is case 130328. It happened April 6th of this year at 7:20 p.m. In the evening, and it happened in Corpus Christi, Texas. A woman was driving with her husband. She was in the passenger seat, and she was going down an old street with lots of ash trees. She saw a white dove on the ground, pecking on the grass. All of a sudden, the bird began flopping around violently, and then as it flopped around violently, it began rising at 2 to 3 miles per hour, slowly up into the air. She said in a straight beam. It never varied. And her conclusion was that there was some sort of tractor beam that had violently grabbed the bird and began sucking it up. She saw it going through the tree branches and she lost it. She saw no craft above it, and it was a cloudy sky. Now, I was amazed when I read that case because it was so unusual. But then as I scoured the CMS all the time, always looking for cases of interest, I came across a similar case that was from Ocean City, Delaware. It was case 129629, and it happened on March 1st of this year at 9 a.m. A teenage girl was in her living room at a vacation rental on the edge of the city, and behind the rental was a forest area, and she started to feel a vibration, and it got louder and louder to the point where she said she could feel it in her ribs vibrating. So she went to the window and looked out into the backyard where the woods are, and she saw a bluish silver tic-tac shaped object, not very large, larger than a car, but not much larger than a car, coming down from the treetops towards the ground. And it was vibrating so much that it had a shimmer around it. And as she watched, she saw what looked like a chunk of meat drop out of the bottom of this cylinder. Then she saw a coyote approaching, and the coyote went up to the chunk of meat, which was below the vibrating cylinder. And as the coyote got to the chunk of meat, this witness said, it got sucked up instantly. She heard what sounded like crunching sounds. And then after about 5 minutes, the coyote dropped out of the bottom, and the craft took off. She was scared, but she decided to go outside to see the body of the coyote. When she went outside she saw that the coyote was on the ground, and it was just skin and nothing else. All of the bones had been removed. And she ran back inside to get her camera, went back outside, and the coyote was gone. She went back in the house, and the mother asks her, where have you been? It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. She had witnessed this coyote abduction at 9 o'clock in the morning. So we have two very odd cases here. One where a bird is seen violently being levitated up, certainly not flying, at a slow speed by a witness. And then in the same month, 3 weeks earlier, in another state, halfway across the United States, we have the bird is from Texas. The Delaware case happened 3 weeks earlier, where a most unusual coyote abduction, missing time by the witness, and no bones left in the coyote. The coyote was actually lured to the craft. So I don't know what to make of these two cases. They seem very similar. If anybody has ideas about it, please email me at doii@mufon.com. Thank you very much, Chris and the gang, and hopefully I'll see you next week.
Bob, that's really interesting. FoxNews.com just had an interesting article that was shared with me about 6 mutilated cattle in Texas just recently. So there's this cattle mutilation wave occurring again right now, and that's what that reminded me of. I mean, that bird, how unusual. It just gets picked up in a tractor beam.
Same thing with a coyote.
Maybe we did shoot something down and they're coming back and, raising heck on our birds and animals.
Well,
don't know.
Maybe the inflation on their plan is pretty bad.
What do you
They
think,
gotta get food
Tara?
over here. I don't know.
Yeah. What do you think, Tara?
I think Tara
I think
froze.
Tara's frozen.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Now they're getting, there she is. She's back.
Yeah. No, I think that's fascinating and it's kind of scary. Remember, we had the one guest that talked about parts falling from the sky. So
Right.
kind of scary. So
Yeah. So we'll see where this goes to see if our numbers shoot up with that. I think it's time to bring in our guest. I'm excited to bring her on. Let me read her bio really quickly. Kristi is the subject of a documentary titled We Are Not Alone, which premiered January of 2023. The documentary is based on her book, We Are Not Alone, My Extraterrestrial Contact, where she details her life as an ET experiencer from the age of 5. She is a psychic medium and the author of 4 books: An Extraordinary Life, We Are Not Alone, My Extraterrestrial Contact Between Earth and Heaven, A Beginner's Guide to Live in a Spiritual Life, and Messages from Ramadir, A Collective Hope for Humanity. Kristi can also be heard on many podcasts and radio programs such as Sedona Soul Adventures, Meeting the Masters, So Strange with Andy Myers, Follow the Woo, A World Awakening with Andrea Perrin, Starseed Awakening with Misha Johnston, and many more. She is also the contact person for MUFON and the state of Nebraska for others who have had experiences. Please welcome to the show, Kristi Pederson. Am I saying your last name correctly?
It is Pederson.
Peterson. Okay, it's just spelt a little differently.
We got to mix it up a little bit.
How about if we just call you Kristi?
yeah, hey Kristi.
Like I said, I got to meet Kristi in the Ozarks. She was one of the speakers there. And your wit and your sense of humor, you just were so captivating to listen to. And I really just want to start off by giving our viewers and our audience just a little background on when this began for you. If you can, bring us back to that time and location and just kind of introduce yourself and how all this got started for you, Kristi.
Sure. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to Katie, to Tara, to Chris for having me on tonight. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for being here.
Glad
and
you're
I
here.
love to tell my story because what I found is the more I tell my story, the more I heal from it, and the more help it is to others who have had experiences and have had nobody to talk to and nowhere to go. Right. And so to hear somebody else's story can be very healing to them too. So my experiences started at the age of 5, and everyone in my family had the flu. And they'd gotten over it in 24, 48 hours. And 5 days later, I was still vomiting profusely. And my mom finally called the doctor and she said, get her to the hospital right now. I will meet you there. So they brought me to the hospital. And they kind of did like a little jury rig on a bed with ice underneath it and then blankets on top and laid me on there to lower my temperature from the outside. And then started feeding me this orange soda over and over and over again to lower the temperature from the inside. Yeah, I started out loving orange soda. I don't want to ever touch it the rest of my life now.
Right.
A trigger.
There was a point during the night, and there was no light, no sound, no anything. And the nurse that was at the head of my bed, because I was in ICU, so I had 24-hour people watching me, she froze. And I was paralyzed too. I couldn't move anything but my eyes. And I remember kind of looking up to her, wondering what had happened. And this doctor walked in my room, who didn't look like any doctor that I'd ever seen in my life before. And he had this stethoscope in his pocket that was so bright, it was hiding the look of his face. And I thought, what is that thing reflecting off of that? Why can't I see his face? And he came next to my bed, and he telepathically started talking to me and said I would always be safe and always be protected. And I questioned it at the time. It's like, why wouldn't I be safe and protected? I'm 5 years old and I come from a loving family. Well, years later, under hypnosis, it was a gray that came to visit me. And there were two other grays on the other side of my bed. And I remember being so sick, being in the hospital. Must have been 40 years later that my mom told me that I almost died that night. They came, my mom came the next day to visit me, and the doctor said, we almost lost her last night. And I didn't know that, like I said, till I was probably 40 years old. And then it was into my 50s when I started hypnosis to make sense of a lot of this stuff, that it became very, very clear that this started at the age of 5 with that visit from that doctor.
Would you consider that, Kristi, to be like a near-death experience then, perhaps?
I call it a near-death experience, but it's not what you typically call a near-death experience, where you go meet God, and told it's not your time and come back. But yeah, I seriously almost died that night.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a near-death experience for sure. And then it goes on from there as far as being a very odd child, which, there are a lot of odd kids in the world. I just didn't know what was happening to me. I just knew that I was very different. I didn't fit into my family. I didn't have any conscious memory of being abducted or contacted, but I would do silly things like 2:00 in the morning after I'd been babysitting. I would walk home to our house, which was just kitty corner from where I was babysitting, and I would lie down in the grass and cry and just say, I want to go home. I want to go home. I want to go home. And it wasn't home that was 15 feet away with my back door. It was a home that I knew was somewhere out there. Right. And there were so many different physical anomalies. And I would act out in very strange ways. Like one time, I think I was about 15, and hijackings had started to happen in the United States. So metal detectors were starting to be put in airports. And my father didn't travel much for business, but he did occasionally. And when he did, the whole family made a big event of it. And we'd go out to the airport and send him on his way. Well, the first time they put a metal detector in the airport, I couldn't go through it. I absolutely could not. And my family was just so angry and threatening me and calling me spoiled, rotten kid and, just incorrigible, every kind of word you could think of to insult a 15-year-old little girl. Mm-hmm. And my mom finally, she goes, here, I'll hold your hand. I'll walk you. And I said, no, I can't. And I had a meltdown that you can't believe. And finally, they just said, fine, stay. And so I stayed in the ticketing area while the rest of the family walked my dad to the gate. Years later, again, under hypnosis, that the doorway for the metal detectors was so similar to doorways that I had to walk through on crafts. And I just knew something horrible was going to happen to me if I walked through that metal detector. I didn't know why. And so I was frustrated. I was scared. I was angry. I was petulant. I was all of these things and not having a clue as to why. And under hypnosis, it became very clear that that wasn't a doorway to an airport gate. It was a doorway to hell to me.
Oh my.
Yeah. Wow. And I didn't know it. And there were so many things that I was either deathly afraid of or would trigger anger or loneliness. When I was, as an adult, even when I got married at a young age, I would walk outside behind our home and cry into the sky. I want to go home. This is too hard. This is too hard. I want to go home. And of course, I'm still here.
Yeah. Thank goodness.
So somebody wasn't listening.
Well, Kristi, that kind of leads me into, this amazing story that you have as your youth. And then now you have these amazing psychic sensitivities, these gifts that may have been developed because of these experiences, perhaps. And I'm sure Katie and Chris would have something to say about this, but would you want to talk about what psychics are and and maybe what they're not? Because can you give us the lottery numbers? Will you share that with everybody, please?
I'll make a deal with you right now. If I give you the lottery numbers, we split it 4 ways.
Okay, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm shaking right now. You can't see me, but I'm shaking your hand.
You're going to send me a contract later, aren't you, to sign? I've been psychic my whole life, but it is, like any skill, it has to be developed over time, which has certainly happened. What I haven't gotten an answer to is, was I picked to have experiences because I'm a psychic medium, or did that develop because it's a chicken and egg kind of thing? But probably the biggest misnomer about being psychic is that we know everything about everything. And it's just simply not true. And I have developed the skill to turn it on and shut it down at will. So in the morning, I do my meditation and I flip kind of like a little imaginary light switch and I say, okay, I'm ready to work. And at the end of the day, my last reading was right actually before I joined you. And I just, talk to my guides and I say, thank you. And that's the cue that I'm done doing readings and it shuts down. Absolutely. But, and it took me so long to go public as a psychic medium. And I start out a lot of my talks with everybody's got secrets. Mm-hmm. Things that they're embarrassed to tell other people or they fear judgment. And I didn't go public as a psychic medium or as a contactee for years and decades because I feared ridicule. I feared judgment from my family. They didn't know, from my friends, from coworkers. And so I learned to keep quiet. But certain unfiltered things would come out of my mouth. Like I used to know when people were going to die, and very inappropriate things would come out of my mouth. Wow. And I said, I don't, if this is what being psychic medium is about, I don't want it. And then I got the message, no, you can fine tune it. So I turned down negative information and I said, I don't want to know that anymore. It serves no purpose whatsoever. And so I no longer know when people were going to die or are going to die. There are a few exceptions to that. Like I had a lady come to me and she goes, my mom is in the hospital and her apartment lease is up for renewal. And I don't know whether I should sign the lease or not. And I just said, no, you don't need to sign that lease. And her mom passed away a few days later. So there was something positive that I could do about that. Other than that, no. But, I have gotten very, very little ridicule in my life, which is interesting. But we were doing an event in downtown Omaha, which is where I live, and it had to be canceled because of COVID. Well, online, somebody wrote that I must be a complete fake because I should have been able to predict COVID. Sorry, that's above my pay grade.
So, Kristi, I just have a quick question. I mean, I know psychics get their information in different ways, right? Some are very they hear it, some see it in movies inside their heads. How does that work for you typically?
It all comes from our energy centers, the clairs, and I am mostly clairvoyant, which is clear seeing. So I see pictures in my head, and people get confused. It's hard to explain that because I don't get pictures with my eyes. I don't see with my eyes. I see with my head. And I'm also some clairaudient, so I hear, but I don't hear with my ears. I hear with my head. And that's typically how I get information. And it's my spirit guides talking to my clients' spirit guides, and some of my guides are extraterrestrials. So I do get that information from them. But I'll typically get pictures. And when I first sit down with someone, I look around them. And usually on this side of the family is their mother's side of the family will show up. On this side is dad's side of the family. And then in front of them are friends, children, spouses. They will show up. So depending on where I see this spirit standing is where I start going. And it looks like, okay, parents show up here, grandparents here, great-grandparents here. For me, it's different for every psychic. So when I see energy waves like over here on this side, it's like, okay, has your father passed? Because he's showing up right here for me. And it just kind of goes from there. So yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, Kristi, I have a question in 3 parts.
Okay.
One, your very first experience sounded like more of a healing. You were sick. This doctor who wasn't a doctor, was a grade that came in with a couple others, and it seemed like it was very comforting, very nourishing, telling you not to worry. It was a telepathic message. But then afterwards, you're explaining that you became very frightened. So has some of your encounters not been so nice? Has it been where some that, and is that the same species, a different species, or was there a different intention that made you frightened? Because the first one, I go, wow, this is really great. I hope I get abducted on a vacation one of these days. I mean, curious of this and stuff. I mean, let's face it. I mean, it's a wonderful experience that you're explaining. But then you have this, absolute fear about going through metal detectors and stuff because it reminds you of something that's not pleasant. So can you tell our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great observation. And I've had 2 different groups contact me. I've had the group of Grays contact me first with the terrifying experiences. Another group contacted me a little bit later on. So my next conscious experience was at the age of 30. And I had just had a tubal ligation. I knew I didn't want to have children ever. And I waited till I was 30 years old, and that was my birthday present to myself, to go get my tubes tied.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday to me. Woohoo. Yeah. And so I was lying on my bed one Sunday afternoon, just reading a book, and 3 beings popped into my bedroom. Just as lifelike, but I could only see them from like the chest up. They had no lower bodies at all. And they had paralyzed me. And so again, I can move my eyes, but I can't move any other part of my body. And I could tell that they were very upset with me. And with that paralysis, then they flipped me over. They lifted me up from behind by my waist, and they did an internal exam. They were concerned with the tubal ligation that they didn't have access to my eggs anymore. And they found out that I still had the eggs. They just weren't going down the fallopian tube. And so then they were fine. And I could hear that they were telepathically talking to each other and to me. And when they found out they still had access to my eggs, they left as quickly as they came. And I'm left on my bed on all 4s going, what the hell just happened to me?
Wow.
And that was terrifying.
Yeah.
Then there's a period where I'm trying to talk to friends and say, here's what happened. And not being public as a psychic medium yet, I could know what was going on in their head with, is she crazy? This is pretty cool. Can we have her committed? Can we still be friends? And all of these mixed emotions. And it took me years to realize that I couldn't make sense of it. How could I expect my friends to instantly make sense of it? But I needed that at the time. And they're still my friends today. So there wasn't like a falling out or anything. And then I talked to another friend and got a similar response. And their response, what it told me to do is shut up. People aren't ready to hear this. Be quiet. And that's why I've kept secrets my whole life. Well, I started really investigating, and I found Dr. Jack Kasher, who was the state director for MUFON for the state of Nebraska. He was also the head physicist at the University of Nebraska at Omaha. And I called him up, shaking, and asked if I could have a session or appointment with him. And as I'm walking through the college campus, I thought, what if he believes me? What if he thinks I'm crazy? Either one was equally terrifying to me.
Yeah.
Is this true or am I crazy? And I've always said I question my sanity every day for various reasons.
Yeah. I resemble that remark.
But I talked to Dr. Kasher, and he believed me. And he said this was probably not an isolated incident, which I just kind of passed that off at the time. And he told me about a support group in Omaha. And I thought, ufology wasn't even in my consciousness at the time. And I thought, there are other people like me that have had contact. And at this point, I'm only conscious of the one, because I hadn't gone through hypnosis with the 5-year-old experience yet. This is just at 30, is my only conscious experience. So I go to the support group, and it was amazing. Their stories were so parallel to mine. Of course, everybody's got their own version of it. And then there was a symposium shortly after that in Lincoln, Nebraska. And I just, oh my God, this is incredible. And I got to meet Linda Moulton Howe, Stanton Friedman, and some of that panel. And Linda was nice enough at the end of her talk to open up for questions. And I told her a brief version of my story. And again, she said, this is probably not an isolated incident. And I'm just like, oh, crap. Now that sunk in a little bit more. And I started really investigating. Well, what happened when I admitted or discovered or was validated that all this is true, it's almost like giving ETs a permission slip to give you more information. And then downloads started happening. And, a download is just boom, instant information that I then have to kind of dissect, make sense of.
Yeah, when you get those downloads, Kristi, we only have like 45 seconds until break, but does that come to you in like a lucid dream state, or are you waking and can you differentiate what's your own thoughts and your own voice to your guides or ET?
The downloads are always when I'm completely awake. It could have been in a business meeting. It could be taking a morning walk, and all of a sudden, boom, it enters my consciousness, and I have to sit and make sense of it. And, it's like, well, I haven't had contact for a while. And it's like, boom, oh, wait a minute. Last night I did. And it's been going on forever. They haven't given me the memory until just now.
Oh, good. Okay. I can't wait to dive into some of this. On the other side of the break, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Kristi.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
MUFON is the voice of thousands of like-minded people who want to see change. We speak up against UFO secrecy. We engage governments and agencies around the world on the topic. We share information with the public through our journal, website, newsletters, social media, and even our own TV channel. When you join MUFON, you add your voice to the cause. Few things are more important in our time than understanding the UFO question. Join MUFON. Find your friends.
Hundreds of thousands of people have claimed contact. If you're met face to face with something so alien, that will change you. It changed me.
Strange things would happen. This was something that I kept buried for years.
On Saturday, April 29th, KGRA Digital Broadcasting and Virgil Films have partnered to bring you an event that could open your mind to new possibilities. Watch John Yost recount his story in his documentary, Alien Abduction Answers. After the movie, participate in a live interactive panel where you can ask your questions in real time. You don't want to miss this event. Go to kgradb.com to claim your spot.
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts, guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? No problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected, only at kgradb.com.
We don't have to wake up during the break.
So what's up, Boogie?
What's up, Boogie? We're going to make a video. So, Kristi, I kind of have a two-part question, kind of get you going on this. So, first of all, well, three, actually. Do you think this runs in your family? Because we often hear about that with contactees, abductees, that possibly runs in family. Number two, do you think you have contact with a certain race or maybe a couple different ones? If you could talk about that. And then I wanted to talk about your book, Ramadir. And I want to ask you how that's channeled, when that began, who these beings are, and what you've learned about that. So I think the book is called Messages from Ramadir, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. And you're right. Contact does run in families. However, I've been told that it does not run in my family.
Oh, interesting.
First. And I have a twin sister. So we had another layer of crazy in there. But I have been told that I'm kind of an anomaly with that. So no, it doesn't run in the family. What was the other part of the question?
It's so interesting that you're a twin and one experiences that and the other doesn't. I wonder kind of what that's about. And maybe that's part of the experiment of some sort. The other one was, is it the same race of being, or have you had contact with different ones?
There's been two different groups that I've had contact with. The first one are the Greys, and those are the ones that I would go to bed at night and I could feel a shift of energy in the room and just be petrified. And boom, I would be gone and on a craft. And once I got on the craft, I wasn't afraid at all, but I was paralyzed, put on a gurney, gone through examinations and gone through that doorway that I talked about to put my clothes back on. And I'd wake up then in my bed, maybe with my head at the foot of the bed. There might be blood at my pillow, all different kinds of things like that. And those were terrifying. So I have to tell you a funny story before I switch to the other group. I got so angry one night that I put my fist in the air and I said, "Were you people born in a barn? Don't you know how to knock?" And a few weeks later, in my head, I hear,
"Oh no!"
And they knocked in my head, and boom, I was gone on a craft. And part of me is like, they've got a really twisted sense of humor, or maybe I didn't explain this quite correctly. I wanted him to come to the front door so I could say no, and that just wasn't an option.
That's funny.
So this has gone on for years. And it's just, I can't tell you how terrifying it is. And you talk to so many people who have contact, and they say, no, it's not terrifying at all. Well, it really isn't. Except, how would you feel if someone showed up in your bedroom in the middle of the night, even if they were human?
Mm-hmm.
It's terrifying. And like I said, I wasn't scared once I got on the craft. And it reached a point where it was just part of my being. And it was every few weeks, there they were coming in and putting me on a craft. I started having contact with another group that I call the technological group. And the big conscious memory that I have of that is being taken on a craft. And there was a gentleman, an ET, who claimed to be my teacher. I'll call him a gentleman just because he appeared male to me. And we were in like a cockpit of this huge craft, and it was like tiered seating, and I was way up in the back, and there was a wall over here, and my teacher was standing at the wall, and he goes, okay, Kristi, come on over. We've got work to do. And I'm just like, no, I don't want to do this. I don't like technology. I'm not any good at it. And just whining like a child. And he's like, no, get over here. And I'm like, ugh. So I got up and walked over to this panel, this bank of computers, and started programming things and pushing buttons and turning knobs. And I was like, how did I know how to do that? It surprised me more than I think anybody. And so we did that for a while. And then he brought me down the hall a little bit and started showing me holographic images of this huge fire and people screaming and running out of it. And he said, these are the people you're going to save. And I said, I've never been in a fire. I don't know how to save people. I don't know what you're talking about. And I said, and what about my family? And he goes, you're not going to save them. That's for other people. These are the people you're going to save. And he said, you'll know what to do when the time is right. And I didn't know whether this was, in a different universe, a different dimension, if this was in the future. I had no idea what it was. But, I've been waiting for that. And it's starting to become clear to me. So now we switch to Ramadir. Let's go there. Because the way that started was I was teaching a class on automatic writing. And, me being me, I said, gosh, maybe I should practice this if I'm going to teach it.
Yeah.
Good idea. I put pen to paper and my hands started reading. And it said, allow me to introduce myself to you. My name is Ramadir. I hail from the planet Eurydice. And I said, oh, are you my spirit guide? And he said, no, I'm a guide of your planet. And I continued to write, then a couple more pages. And I thought, well, obviously I can do this. So I put it down and I taught the class for a couple of weeks. Fast forward 9 months. And I'm in California on my favorite beach with my best friend. And I'm journaling on the beach, which is one of my favorite things to do. And I heard, put your pen down. Put your journal down, enjoy your vacation, enjoy your friend. We'll download when you return. I'm like, okay. So if you saw the cover of the book, that very day, my friend took a picture of me walking on that beach. That was the same day I got that message.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
That's cool.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And so the day I got home, put my suitcase down, pick up your pen, pick up your journal.
Now you go to
and Ramadir came through again and he said, we're going to write a book together. And so I started writing the book and all of a sudden I went, oh my God, I recognize your energy. I said, you were the teacher on the craft that day, weren't you? And he said, finally, you figured it out.
Oh.
So my teacher on the craft is Ramadir. And he said, we have been together for years. Yeah, and Ramadir is an extraterrestrial. And he said, I'm to ask questions, and he will give answers with the goal being that we're taking very esoteric things and putting it in a language that modern humans can understand. And do I have time to tell you my favorite story? One of my favorite stories in the whole book?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Telling me kind of what life is all about. And he said, it's like the child's birthday party game, pin the tail on the donkey. What? And he said, how fun would it be if you walked to a party and they gave you a tail and said, see that donkey over there? Go pin the tail on it. And he'd be like, yeah, that was fun. Not. He said, what makes it fun is that you're blindfolded, you're spun around, and how do you succeed? You listen to the party goers. It's telling you, you're cold, oh, now you're warm, oh, you're hot. That's how you succeed.
Right.
He said, in spirit form, we know exactly who we are. But when we come into human form, it's like we've been blindfolded, spun around. So how do we achieve what we came here to achieve? How do we learn those lessons? We listen to our guides. And whether they're extraterrestrials or not, I believe most of them are, we listen to them and they will tell us when we are hot, warm, or cold. And that's how we succeed at life. Isn't that interesting?
That's really a cool. So what would you give for advice for people to start being able to tell what is their voice of their guides as opposed to their own thoughts and messages? How would you train somebody to begin to listen to their guides so we know what we're doing in life? So many of us are lost.
And listening is the key. And we've got what I call monkey brain. And that's the voice in your head that's like, well, that was stupid. You should have done that differently. Well, I would have done it this way. And it's negative. The voice of your guides will never be negative. Your guides, it's the highest form of truth and compassion to keep you aligned with the universe. That's the role of your spirit guides. And they will always be, why don't you try it this way? Have you ever thought of this? Here's a great idea for you. Instead of, well, that'll never work. That's stupid. You know, your sister tried it. It didn't work. So why should it work for you? That's how you tell the difference. Monkey brain is negative. Your spirit guides, your higher self, that's all the same thing. It will always be positive. That's the big thing. And it's you taking the time to listen. And if there's ever any negativity, it's the monkey brain.
You know, I got to just interrupt you there, for Kristi, for a second, because I don't think I have a monkey brain. I have something similar. I have a wife that does the same thing. But I mean, I don't. Oh, it's true. But anyways, I want to throw this theory at you, Kristi, because this is so interesting. So here's what I'm thinking. You have gone outside, or you've gone and cried and say that you don't want to be on this planet. You want to be someplace else. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Okay. Your family has never been involved, which is very, very thing. So my question to you is, do you think you're a star child?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I know I am. And by the way, you do have a monkey brain?
She's psychic, Chris. You're not getting away with it.
I thought you couldn't read minds.
Love it.
She has your number.
It got in the way.
Oh, funny. Hey, Kristi, I have a question.
You'll never be on this show again.
Oh, no.
That's a badge of honor. I've been banned from
by Christopher.
No, but I honestly believe, and just as just a theory, with everything you've said, you know, there's a Russian child years ago that did equations and talked about parts of the universe that we had not discovered until years later, and he was right on the money. He had talked about he was from Mars. You know, his original being, soul, was from Mars. And everything you're saying, the thing that popped into me is she must be a star child. She must be a child from another planet brought here, maybe to educate us, maybe to enlighten us. Maybe you have certain information, like they said to you, at a certain time, that information will be exposed to you. Do you think I'm way off base with all this?
No, you're absolutely 100% on base, because I've discovered that my mission on this planet is to help others step into their own power. And I think when they showed me that fire with people screaming and crying, those are the people I'm going to save. I'm just not going to save it in here, let me help you. It is to help them understand their own power, their own mission on this planet. And so that's saving them, and it's saving ourselves from ourselves.
You think what you saw was nuclear war? Because a lot of abductees talk about fire and destruction and everything. And they say that they believe what they're seeing is the future of nuclear war. And we're heading down that path. I mean, it doesn't look good.
You're right. It doesn't. And when in conversations with Ramadir, I said, you know, our planet is pretty much of a mess right now. And, you know, what can we do about that? And he said, well, it's really not the planet. It's the personage. It's the people on the planet. And they're the ones that need to be educated and with what to do and the importance of it. And I've always said this, we're the only species on our planet that's willing to destroy our own home. And Is it because we don't care? I'm not sure about that. I just know I can't save the whole world, but what I can do is educate as many people that are willing to learn and stand in their own power. Because the more people that I can get to that are willing, I'm not going to go out there and pontificate and wear a white robe at the airport. I'm not going to do that. But what I am going to do is be out there as much as I can with my story that we are all a piece of divinity. We all come from source, and that's extraterrestrials, that's angels, that's humans, it's pets, it's everything, not just everybody. And we need to understand the power that we have. And it's been generations of programming intentionally to keep us in fear, keep us small, so we are easier to control. And that
Who's
is
controlling us?
Well, there are certain reptilians, but it's humans is the bulk of it. It's the humans that are controlling us, because now they've got all the money in the world. So what do they want now? They want power. And to get that power is to keep the rest of us small. And my job is, on a grassroots level, is just to be me, lead by example. And those people that want to do the same thing and claim their own power, claim their piece of the planet, claim their own gifts, come on, let's do this together. And that is where grassroots situations start really getting power and making a difference, where we are no longer controlled because we no longer have fear. It is also my understanding that with extraterrestrials and nuclear war, we live on a free will planet. So they can't really interfere with us until we reach a tipping point, almost a point of no return. And we're getting very, very close to that, which is why there are more sightings. There's more contact. There's more of this going on. It's to prepare the star seeds that are appearing as humans in this world, to prepare us to really interfere and make the changes that need to be made on this planet. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Okay. It was a great answer.
Okay, good.
And stuff. Now give me the lottery numbers. I
wish I could. I would want nothing more.
Go ahead, Katie.
Oh, I think Tara had a question.
Well, Kristi, it's kind of on that point. So I have a question about if you can speak about how emotions play a role in consciousness and possibly psychic abilities. And if we're more in touch with our emotions or understand what maybe they mean, are we able to experience more or see more, or?
Well, we're in human form to experience emotions. There's not too many other places in our galaxy that have that, because there's really nothing but love on the other side. And so that's why Earth is considered one of the hardest schools that exists. And it's because we separate ourselves from love. And we're desperately trying to find our way back to that. And some people just get lost with it. Yeah. But, I lost my train of thought. So, yeah, we're fighting, trying to find our way back to that. But the emotions, that's why we're here on planet Earth. That's part of being human, is to experience that. And I always say, what makes me different from you, and you different from Katie, and Katie different from Chris, if we all come from source, what makes us different? When we break off from source, it's our ego. That's what makes us different. Now, an unhealthy ego is something very, very different, but an ego is what makes us all different, and experiencing different things, processing things differently, and rebounding differently. So, some people, their emotions get complete control over them, and other people are like, yeah, been there, done that, I'm good, I'm golden. And it's, what their life plan is. What are they here to experience? And, once we leave this body, we go back to love. And so our purpose here is to have our souls evolve. But Earth is really considered one of the most difficult places that exists.
I believe that.
Yeah, me too. Woohoo!
I believe that.
Hang on.
No wonder we all want to go home. So we have a question from chat from Kathleen. She wants to know, what if you're afraid of the power that you have?
That is such a great question because most people are afraid of their power. And it's like, what could I do if there were no limits at all? And that is so frightening because we have all been raised, not all of us, but most of us have been raised. I always say I was raised to walk what I call walk the tightrope of mediocrity, which is you can't fail because you embarrass your family. But if you succeed too much, oh, you're above the way you were raised. You were conceited. You have a big head. You're a show off. It's all of those things. And that has taught us to dim our lights and not claim our gifts, not claim our power. And we get very confused between arrogance and confidence. And we're told that if we do this, if we shine our light, we're arrogant. And we all have experienced arrogance. And, what's our reaction? I'm out of here. This person's creepy. Hate it. And confidence is like, ooh, God, they're interesting. How did they accomplish that? Wow. And that's what draws you in. And so, Kathleen, it's very understandable that you're afraid of the power you have because of the programming you've had since the day you were born, from your parents, from your teachers, from your bosses, from your friends. It's like, no, you fit in here. It's the status quo, and don't you dare try to step outside of that. And most of us, because we live in fear, go, okay, all right, because I want to fit in, which means we create ourselves to be a person that we think others expect us to be. And that is a huge piece of my client base. I've done everything I was ever told. Why am I not happy?
Yeah.
Because
that's so true. We're like born in boxes. We work in boxes. We drive around in boxes. I saw something on Facebook like that. Like, live in a box, live in a box.
Yeah.
And
it takes So it takes an immense amount of courage to step out of that box and say, I'm ready to shine my light.
Yeah. Get rid of the programming. And once you start coming out of the programming, it really transforms your life. And that's a question for me. I mean, I'm sure when you decided to come public with your gifts, with your contact, did you have to pay the price with that? Did you lose people in your life? And how did that affect you?
You're absolutely right. There are certainly consequences to going public. But what's interesting is the people that made fun of me when unsolicited things would come out of my mouth, when I finally staked my claim, I said, you know what? I'm coming out of the psychic medium closet. And they were like, oh, yeah, I get that. Well, that makes sense. I'm like, where the hell were you 15 years ago? So it's something you have to claim in yourself before, because people can smell insecurity a mile away.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and they'll go after it. So the consequences for me is that I've got a very strained relationship with my family. And I am single. I don't have children, but I've got siblings, and both my parents are deceased. And I can be around most of my family as long as I don't talk about me. And I can talk about them. My twin sister will not talk to me. We haven't spoken in a few years.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. And so, there are consequences. I don't want to say, go out and shine your light and everything's going to be fabulous. It will be. Absolutely.
Is she frightened of you, of what you are? I mean,
she's not frightened. I always say throughout our life, people have got choices to make.
Yeah.
You can be a victim, you can be a survivor, or you can be a thriver. And most people will pick victim or survivor. I picked thriver. She doesn't like that because she vacillates between victim and survivor.
Gotcha.
And not thriver. And so there's a huge resentment there.
We got an interesting question from chat. I thought it was really good. Gloria Romano asks, do aliens have souls?
Yes.
That's a great question. They do?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely they do. And I get that question over cats, dogs, any living thing. And that could be a plant, a tree, an alien. They all have souls. Absolutely. Because we all come from source.
Do we reincarnate into something different, or do we come back? Like, I have always heard about past lives. I don't know if you're, with your psychic abilities, you could see that. But I have been told that people have past lives to learn different lessons. So, do we come back as another human, or do we come back, say, as a puppy dog, or what? Well, I don't know. I mean,
that's a great question. I love when you say puppy dog.
Well, if I got to come back as a dog, I want to be, maybe a German Shepherd or something. I don't want to be some little Chihuahua running around.
You don't want to be a French poodle?
No, take me soon, okay? I can't see my ass as a French poodle or some stupid dog like that. Bring me back as a German Shepherd, a wolf, or something of that nature. Or you know what? Keep me in suspension for a while till you find something good.
Dog. No, Kristi, do you see people's past lives when you do a psychic reading, or can you see people's past lives? I know when we sat together and had lunch, you had something interesting come through, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Kind of makes sense." With some of the.
And I don't necessarily, somebody can't come to me and say, tell me about my past lives. I can't do that. But I can very much tune into trauma. And so, I've helped people with anorexia, with the fear of heights, with migraines. And what they'll say, like, I'll give an example. One lady I was working with, she goes, I'm on disability because of my migraines. And I just went, oh, I got a flash of a past life. And I said, that's because you were hit in the head with a boulder in a past life, and you've brought that trauma into this life. And so I've created these releases. And I started for myself, and it was amazing. So I've branched off, and I now do it with clients. And we did this release with her, and I don't remember readings. So once I'm done, it's like in my head, out my mouth, gone. 2 years later, she contacted me. I'm the gal with the migraines, blah, blah, blah. And so she booked another session. I said, well, how are the migraines? She goes, I haven't had one in 2 years.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so I can tune into past life trauma that's affecting this lifetime in a negative way, but I don't necessarily do past life readings.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Kristi, what about karma? Does that play a role in I guess our future lives, our past lives? Can you pick up on any karma? And does that play a role in what we come back as, a plant or a dog or a person?
Well, you want to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole here?
Sure.
Okay. Technically, I do not believe in past lives. After I just said that, because if there is no time on the other side, how can there be past lives? How can there be future lives? I do believe in parallel lives. I call them past lives because that's vernacular people are used to hearing. So let's say we have got, the way I like to describe it, that's kind of easy to wrap your head around it, is let's pretend source, everything, is the ocean. Let's just pretend. Okay. Then we take a bucket of water out of the ocean. Is it still ocean water? Yeah.
Yes.
But it's not in the ocean. That is what I call our soul, would be that bucket of water. So now we take teaspoons of water out of the bucket. Is it still ocean water? Yes.
Yes.
That is our spirit. These are our lives. So all these teaspoons of water are experiencing all these different lives. And that's why some of that energy comes through with past life memories, past life talents, is because it's all coming from that bucket of water, the ocean of water. And so when 1 teaspoon of that spirit life dies, it goes back into the bucket. The next one goes back into the bucket until all the teaspoons of water are back in the bucket. Then the bucket goes back into source. And so, we will never experience or understand everything until we experience everything that has ever been or ever will be. And like I said, with no time, how is that going to happen? Because everything's all at once. People can't wrap their head around that. I have a heck of a time doing it myself. So I do talk about past lives, but it's all connected. So even if you look at your hand, these would be the spirits, the teaspoons of water. This is the bucket of water. And so that's why these are all connected. And that's why, people with their talents, they just say, oh, I'm just naturally good at it. Oh, I don't know. I'm just born genetic. It just comes. It's like, no, it's because all of these others have practiced and practiced and practiced that talent. So that energy comes to you. And now you are completely gifted and it comes to you naturally. The trauma is the same way. Well, we've had trauma here. And I see it a lot in healers. They've had trauma of being hanged, by being beheaded, by being burned at the stake. And they bring that trauma into this existence, this lifetime, and they're afraid to ask for money for their gifts. They're afraid to make it full time. They're afraid to express themselves as a healer because their soul is remembering the trauma here. And so we do that release to get rid of that trauma, let it go. It doesn't serve you in this particular experience. We let that go. And it's amazing the progress is, I'm talking specifically about healers now, that they make in claiming their gifts and say, yes, I am a healer. I'm here to help other people. And now there are no blocks holding me back.
I love that analogy, Kristi, that you used of the ocean and the bucket and the teaspoons, because that's so visual for me. Do you think we're also here as creators? I mean, nothing can exist unless somebody has the thought of it first, right?
Right.
And is that part of why we incarnate into these bodies?
Yes, absolutely. Everything that has ever existed or ever will exist is already there. And that's what, when people struggle with manifesting things, it's like you're creating your own block. It's here. It's right there. You just have to say, that's for me. And it also has to align with your life path. So we go back to the lottery. Every single one of us would want to win the lottery. But if it's not part of our life path, it's not going to happen, even though that does exist.
Can we change our life path if if we have free will? Can we? I mean, do you think we come in like, you chose these parents, you chose this path? Is it predestined to a certain degree? Or can we change that life path and create anything we wish it to be and manifest it in our lives?
You can create anything you want it to be as long as it follows that life path. So no, you can't change that, but there's free will in how you do it.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I want to go back to Chris's question about reincarnation, because it's my understanding with the studying that I've done is that you can start out, your first experience is as a rock. And then your next life, you might be a plant. You might be a tree. And once you've gone through.
My wife says I'm a rock right now, so I'm a talking rock.
Well, then maybe your next life, you will be a puppy dog. And then once we go from that, then we go into stage 2, which are the animals. And that can be dogs and cats and birds and all of that. The next one after that would be dolphins, whales, and humans. They're in category number 3. You don't ever go backwards. You continue to go forwards until your soul is evolved to the degree that you want it to evolve, and then you go back to source. You go back to the ocean.
But Kristi, what about people who have, I can only say bad souls. You know, people who just for some reason or another, they start right from the beginning. Their soul is just bad, and they commit murder. They commit stuff. I mean, that's not a life lesson. Is that just something else? Because, I mean, you know, I have met some of the most evil people on the planet, and I've been in rooms with them. I've arrested them. I've done it all. And I will tell you, there's something about that person that their soul, there's nothing good about that soul. There's nothing good.
Yeah.
So how does that work in all this?
If we all come from Source, and Source is here to experience everything that has ever been or ever will be. That includes the dark night of the soul. So you look up in the night sky, how do you see stars? It's because of the darkness behind it. So we have to have the darkness to experience the light, if that makes any sense at all. And here's a silly analogy that I use just because it gets the point across in a funny way. We don't know why people are here. So my favorite example is, like, let's say we have some person that comes down and says, I want to know what it's like to experience to be the biggest asshole on the planet. And you are doing such a good job. Oh my God.
Thank you very much. You're never coming on this show again.
That's funny. That brings me to another question, Kristi. Are there new souls coming in all the time? I mean, you talk about, I like that I've never thought of reincarnation that way, as not looking, as we see time as linear, right? Past,
Right.
present, future. But
Yeah.
if time is secular and all time exists, then you're right. It wouldn't be a past life, would it? It would just be all out there.
Yeah.
So are there new souls coming in and being put on that timeline? You know what I'm
Yeah, that's really interesting because all souls are old souls. However, not all souls are new or old to planet Earth.
Okay.
So all souls have been around for a very long time, but they're what we call young souls or new souls are new to planet Earth. And that's why with our population growth happening, it's a lot of new souls, but new souls to planet Earth. And they're the ones that have no respect for other people, have no respect for the planet. They're the ones trashing things. They're picking fights with their neighbors.
Why is that though? Is it because that's how it is at their planet? I mean, why would they come here and just want to,
Well, it's a lot of different reasons. There's not just one reason. So it could be, especially when I have clients that come from really dysfunctional homes with rape, with incest, with, these horrible things. Sometimes it's something to bounce off of. So they say, that's not what I don't want. And this soul comes in saying, I want to help you achieve what you want to achieve. So I'm going to be the enemy in this one. I'm going to be the bad guy in this one to help you have something to bounce off of to achieve what you want to achieve. So yeah, with these new souls, they can be really dark, heavy energy. And again, an analogy for that is, would you punish a 3-year-old for not knowing calculus? No, they're too young. They don't know. It's a process of growing and learning. And we've all been young souls to planet Earth before. So hopefully it gives us some compassion and some empathy for those. And, Chris, what you were saying with these souls that are just bad, that is, on the scale of love and light, it's dark and evil and ish. And I've gotten to a point where I don't allow that around me. And I do a prayer of protection every single day because I open myself up to spirit, but it's only spirits that are here for my and my clients' best and highest good are allowed to come anywhere near me.
Awesome. I have a question for you on that. The being able to put protections around you and doing all that's kind of a technological form, but doing it within your body. It's technology on how to protect yourself. And you had said that one of the groups of aliens were technological in nature. And so do they, what kind of technology? I know that there's like ships and stuff, but I guess the technology that I'm talking about is, do they suppress, are they responsible for some of this technology that's been suppressed? Because it seems like there's technology out there that we should already know about.
Well, they're bringing us technology, and it's our government, our military that's shutting it down. But my personal experience and why I call them the technological group is because they have taught me how to fly crafts. And so that's the technical piece of that in my world. I can't really speak to the other technology. I can only speak to my own experiences. But I was chosen for a reason that I'll get into to learn how to fly crafts. In my first conscious memory of it is being in this very, very small circular craft, and it's not like there's an ignition and you turn it on, there's not a clutch, there's anything like that. It's a connection. It's your mind connecting to the ship, the craft, because it is a living thing. It's a living being, and it's my mind connecting with that craft to get it to lift, to get it to go. And I remember practicing, and it was, kind of sluggish. And they had me working mostly on flatlands. Evidently, they were scared that, I was going to crash something. Who knows? Maybe I did. But I do remember evidently graduating because we went from flatlands to me flying through mountains, hills, mountains, and then eventually through New York City. And in a life, a career in my past, I was a clothing buyer. And so I was spent 1 week a month in New York. So I'm very familiar with the cityscape. And I'm flying that craft, maneuvering through these buildings, just like, oh my God, this is amazing. Well, again, now fast forward, and I am in charge of a crew I call myself a first responder, a galactic first responder. And Ramadir laughs at that. He said, well, okay, whatever, call it whatever you want to. But basically, it's planets that are in trouble. And this crew, I fly the craft, and we go to these other planets, and we get there in minutes. And we help either evacuate that planet or help to heal that planet. And personally, I am in charge of underwater life. Other members of the crew might be in charge of, we'll call it human life for lack of a better word, plant life. All the different categories, this crew that I'm with, we're in charge of either evacuating that or to help that planet heal and turn itself around. So that's why I have not left this planet and why I keep crying saying I want to go home. I have a better understanding now that I am here for the greater good. And it's not just in Omaha, Nebraska. It's on a galactic scale with my soul. I'm here as Kristi in Omaha, Nebraska to help people step into their own power. But my soul as an extraterrestrial, a star child, is here on a whole different level, on a galactic scale. Because one of the worst crimes they say in the galaxy is to destroy a planet. Because it's not just the destruction of that planet. It has that ripple effect and goes out and affects the energy of every other planet that exists. And so it's so important. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So it sounds like Ramadir has a sense of humor. Do a lot of the life out there in our universe, do they have senses of humor just like humans do, or is this uniquely?
It's a little different. Ramadir and I have been together so long that he understands. It's also been my understanding that a lot of extraterrestrials, they find humans very odd. And one of the things is that we laugh. Yeah, and if you think about it, and it's like, because we'll sit there and talk, and all of a sudden, all of us will go, ha, 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 ha.
Just like now.
I find that very odd. But Ramadir, yeah, he's got it's a very dry, sarcastic sense of humor towards me. And in writing this book, I mean, I say I got spanked a lot because I would ask a question. He's like, oh, really? Who's being judgmental now? Isn't this what you teach other people? Why are you asking me?
Wow.
Yeah, rats. So, yeah, I get busted a lot from him.
That's funny.
Kristi, I want to talk to you about your psychic abilities because I'm very fascinated with that. So I had a psychic who I know very well. Matter of fact, at the end of this week, I'm going to go see him. And the question I have for you is, one of the things that really shocked me is when I was talking to him on the phone, and he doesn't know about my medical condition and stuff. And so he turned around and he says, oh my God, hey, Chris, you better take care of this because this part of your body is bothering you really bad. And how would he know over the phone? I mean, it really shocked me, but he pinpointed exactly what was wrong with me, which blew my mind. As a matter of fact, it was my shoulder. I have a bad shoulder from on-duty injury, and it's been bothering me lately. And he turned around and he said, hey, Chris, he says, your shoulder is going to need surgery. How do you know, one, that I'm injured there, and how do you know I'm going to need surgery, which a doctor's already told me that. So anyways, can you see these things in people? I mean, can you see certain medical things or an aura? Like the other thing is everybody's supposed to have an aura. Mm-hmm. And you can see that?
Yeah, absolutely. And what an aura actually is, and we talk about the chakras, which are your energy centers of the body, it's those spinning and vibrating out that creates an aura. And that's why there are different colors. And it's the brightest color will be your chakra that is the most active. And so, Chris, I want to mention something really quick to you. For 2 years, I volunteered with the police department in Omaha. And for all first responders. And I gave free readings for police officers, fire people, paramedics, all that. For 2 years, I did that. Cool. Just because I knew of some of the things that you dealt with, and just, some PTSD, some trauma, and just to help out in a way that I could.
During my 25 years, I got more PTSD or whatever you're going to call it than you can shake a stick at. But anyways, So in medical stuff, have you ever told anybody and say, hey, listen, you better go get this checked out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have. And again, I don't get negative information unless there's something positive I can do about it. So, and every psychic is a little bit different. Some are they're called medical mediums, and that's all they do is focus on medical things. Other people are pet psychics, and that's what they specialize in, are pets. I focus in typically on a lot of trauma and helping people to overcome that and step into their own power. But yes, seeing some kind of an injury or an illness is on that path, absolutely I can. I just did a thing this weekend where I looked at a gal and I'm like, girl, you got to get your thyroid checked. This is going to cause you some issues. And it comes from your throat chakra and not being able to speak your truth. As a child, something happened to you at the age of 6 that created that block that is now manifesting as thyroid issues in this lifetime. And she said, yeah, I just diagnosed with the thyroid issues.
Interesting. Wow. What do you think of psychics? Like, do you need to be in person to get accurate readings, or because you see people that can do it over Zoom or over like where we are right now? And is that something that can actually happen where you can tap into, let's say, Chris's or Tara's energy? Mm-hmm. And then how do you specifically know it belongs to Tara or belongs to Chris?
She's already tapped into mine. She said I was an asshole. So get out of my chakra, okay?
My chakra. I think it's
in your aura.
Chakra.
I think I heard that. It's on the radio.
I would never call anybody an asshole.
I thought you did on the radio. That's why you're never coming back.
But I probably do just as many sessions over Zoom than I do in my office in person. I have got clients all over the world. So I do call sessions in Australia, in England, Canada, every time zone in the United States. And sometimes I even just do them over phone. I don't even see the person. And I just tune into them and start reading their energy and go from there. So it doesn't matter whether you see them or, I've got a friend who's ill in Seattle. And I asked her, can I do some long distance Reiki on you, which is internet or healing energy? And she's like, yeah, go for it. And so I will send her healing energy 1,600 miles away.
That's really awesome. God, again, this time flies by. Let's talk about your 4 books really quick, because we only have like less than 10 minutes left.
Yep.
So you've written 4. And can you say them in order, your first book to your most current book, and we can pop it up there and you can just
have them right here.
Cool.
So the first one was An Extraordinary Life. This one is not necessarily a spiritual book. There's some stuff in there. It's 58 true short stories that have happened to me. And I call them moments in time. And everybody, they have moments in time and they think, it's boring. Because we all do the grocery shopping. We all do the laundry. We all do that stuff. No, it's those nuggets, those moments in time. And these are 58 nuggets of mine. And that was, it's kind of my starter book. The second one was We Are Not Alone, My Extraterrestrial Contact. The scariest thing I have ever done in my life is write this book. Finally, what helped me write it is I'm not writing it for my family, my friends, that I'm afraid they're going to judge me. I'm writing it for people who've had contact and have nobody to talk to. And once I figured that out, I wrote that book and it was easy peasy. And about 2-3 weeks after I published it, I was contacted by a filmmaker, and a documentary was released this last January, and it should be available on YouTube any day now. I don't know for sure. Yeah, so
it is. Will you send me the link, Kristi? But can you talk about the cover of that book, and was that inspired by you or?
Yeah, absolutely. The first time I went into hypnosis, the hypnotherapist said, let's go back to where it started. And I went back to this pink planet. And I remember it was, I don't know if the whole planet was water or if I just was in a place where there was water, but I remember dipping my toe in the water and experiencing more joy than I have ever experienced on Earth. And I have to tell you, something came up on my Facebook feed, a new planet. This student discovered a new planet and they showed pictures of it and it's pink.
Wonderful.
That just came up this week. And I sent somebody a text. I'm like, do you think this is my pink planet? It could be. And I looked back from that pink planet and I saw Earth, and it looked dirty and filthy and just, I thought it looked like the cartoon character Pigpen and the Charlie Brown. And I started crying. I'm like, why are we so mean to each other? Why do we hate each other? And I did not want to go back. But like I said, here I am. Yeah. All right. Third book is Between Earth and Heaven, A Beginner's Guide to Living a Spiritual Life. So I got to tell you, that beam of light, I was on a retreat with a friend of mine, and there's a labyrinth there. This was in November, so you can't really clearly see the labyrinth. But the last day, I walked it and I said, I'm just going to walk this with gratitude. And about halfway through, I felt what felt like the face of God smiling on me. And I couldn't wait to tell my friend. And I went back and I told her, and she goes, you're not going to believe this. I got the message to pick up my camera and take a picture. This is not Photoshopped.
Wow.
She got it. She captured it. Isn't that amazing?
Really awesome.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, A Beginner's Guide to Living a Spiritual Life. Like, what are some of the top few things we can all do to wake up every morning and try to get out of that programming we're all in?
Ask yourself 3 questions. Who am I? What do I want? What does that look like and feel like to me? Because I say we all want exactly the same thing. We want peace, freedom, happiness, balance. But it looks and feels different for everybody. So there are so many people that are waking up to a spiritual life, and they get overwhelmed with where to start. So this is like bite-sized pieces of many things metaphysical, and then the top 24 alternative healing modalities. So you can read it and go, ooh, that's interesting. Now I know where to go deeper, or yeah, that feels weird. I don't want to go there. So it's everything kind of in a nutshell. So to help you know where to go without spending a gazillion dollars and dealing with not
Kristi,
good things.
I want your opinion of this surge of young people finding spirituality now. They want to get closer to God. It's happening, and it's happening tremendously throughout the United States all of a sudden. What's your opinion? Is there something to this that's going on?
Oh, for sure. There are starseeds are starting to awaken at any age, but there are so many young people that are being born knowing they're starseeds and knowing that they have got a mission on this planet. And I'll tell you, it's a beautiful thing to see. It's amazing. But people my age are starting to awaken as well. And to say religion, there's nothing really wrong with religion, except if you buy into it's, the man-made piece of it with control. The basis of religion is beautiful, which is love and caring for each other. It's when, human beings got hold of it and added that control to it. And to me, that's the difference of spirituality. Nobody's trying to control anybody. Religion, people are trying to control people. And people are resonating with that and realizing our planet's in trouble. So we've got volunteers coming in right now saying, I'm vibing at a really high rate and I'm going to help this planet heal. So that's a great observation.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, we need it badly. All right, last book, Messages from Ramadir, A Collective Hope for Humanity. Ramadir is the voice of a collective of thousands of spirits. So he's the one I talk to, but the information comes from a ton of different spirits. And I keep saying yes to things and holy cow, because halfway through writing this book, he said, it is so slow and so cumbersome to write or to type. He goes, you're going to start trans channeling, which means I kind of get out of my body. He comes through and uses my body, my voice to deliver messages. And so that's really new to me, because I said, when's this going to happen? He goes, well, the book has to come out first. The day I had the book in my hands, he popped in when I was doing a Reiki session on someone. And so now I'm having sessions every month. And I've already started in my house just 2 months ago, because this book came out last month. And I've already outgrown my house and I have to rent a building now.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I just sit down and kind of explain how it started and say, bye-bye. Evidently, I'm going to the back room and taking a nap. And he pops in and starts answering questions. It's pretty amazing.
Wow. And where can people get a hold of you, Kristi? I want to share your website, and what can they find on your website there?
It's KristiPederson.com, and if you can see it, it's the spelling. If you're just listening, it's KristiPederson.com, and it's all my services and what's involved in it, how to get ready for it, the cost on it, and then there are different tabs. So all my books are listed, the film is listed. If you want to hire me as a speaker, all that information is on there as well.
Cool.
That's fabulous. Oh my goodness. I just want to commend you on your courage to live your authentic life and be your authentic self, and to share and to help others, because you're so right. I mean, I'll never forget when Dr. Leo Sprinkle sat with me for the first time, and when you hold those secrets and you have those fears and you get ridiculed, when you're a little kid and you see these things, you're often told, it's your overactive imagination, it's a bad dream, your mind's playing tricks on you, it's your imaginary friend. And to be validated and heard is so important for so many people out there. I think that's why, we all continue to do the podcast, right, Tara? Right, Chris?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because it's just important that people are validated and heard. So I want to commend you on everything that you do. For all those people that don't
Thank
have a
you.
voice.
The subtext of everything I do is courage. And so I challenge myself almost every year to do something courageous.
That's cool.
1 year I went ziplining.
You are courageous.
For my 62nd birthday, I went ziplining.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So now for 67, it's like, let's do some trans channeling.
Skydive next. Well, unfortunately, our time has run out. I can't believe how quickly this flew by. I want to thank all our listeners. Thank you, Joe, for being here, and all of you, Kathleen, everybody. We couldn't do this without you, and we really appreciate that. Thank you to Chris, to Tara, to our producer, Amanda, running the back end. You do an awesome job. We couldn't do this without you. And to Bill Skywatcher and KGRA. And, of course, to Jerry and Jenna, too. They're always chilling back there behind Chris's desk, hanging out. So I hope you all have a fabulous rest of your week. And we will catch you next Tuesday night. Keep looking up. Report those sightings to MUFON. If you see something you can't explain, I mean, man, I thought the case of the week this week was really interesting. And Chris, I'll send you that video so you can look at that closely. Anyway, thank you, Kristi, so much for being here. And we will see you guys next week. Good night.
Take care, everyone.